Planeswalkers. I don't like to say this very often, but Cass is completely broken. Like somebody at Wizards fell asleep while designing this card. Somebody said, let's make a commander that's the Ozolith but for auras, and they typed her up and didn't playtest her at all. Now, you might be thinking, why is she so busted? She just seems like an okay, if not kind of expensive, protection piece for aura decks. But Cass combos with the ham sandwich. Now, I originally was interested in Cass because the Ozolith is one of my favorite cards of all time. I love counters and aristocrats, and that's exactly what the Ozolith does. So I thought auras and aristocrats could be fun. However, there is a big difference between auras and counters. And that difference is that auras can have ETBs. So let's read Cass and get into our combo lines, and we'll see exactly why this girl is so busted. Cass Hand of Vengeance is a 4 mana or a 4/3 vigilance human ranger. She says, whenever Cass or another creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return any number of aura cards that were attached to it from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to target creature, then attach any number of equipment cards that were attached to it to that creature. So they just didn't put any form of safety nets on this girl at all. She doesn't say non-token. She doesn't say do this once each turn. She doesn't have the auras return with finality counters, preventing us from returning them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So what do we need to combo out with this girl? First, we need a sack outlet, preferably one that wins us the game, like Goblin Bombardment. Second, we need an aura that makes a token either on ETB or when the enchanted creature dies. Third, that's it. That's all we need. We just need to play our commander and we just win the game on the spot. Well, I guess we need a creature in play initially to attach our aura to, but it can be literally any random creature, like whatever, so pretty low bar to meet. So the loop goes, we attach our aura to our creature, make the token, sack the creature's bombardment, the aura goes to the yard, then Cass returns it to play attached to the token we made, and we make another token. Then repeat. Easy as that, the whole table is dead. She also combos with Gift of Immortality, and any other creature and a sack outlet. Normally, Gift of Immortality is balanced by the fact that Gift itself doesn't return until the next end step, but Cass returns it right away, allowing us to loop any 2 creatures, and Cass herself can even be one of them. Now, there are tons of commanders that have 3-card infinite combos. What makes Cass so special? There are 2 unique things about Cass. The first being she's just an incredible value engine, even when you aren't comboing off, allowing you to reuse cheap aura ETBs like Atali's Favor for repeated value. The second is that she is incredibly budget-friendly. Aura ETBs is just not a very popular archetype. Before Cass and 3-Dog were released in this Fallout set, the only other Aura ETB commander was Staying Echo Warrior, who was dope, but was not nearly as powerful as 3-Dog and Cass. If they continue to support this archetype with powerful commanders like these, I could definitely see some of these cards going up in price. But also, all these cards that she abuses so well are just random common auras. Cass is like the new Feather. They abuse cheap cantrips, just auras instead of instants and sorceries. They generate tons of value by allowing you to reuse those cantrips. They are very difficult to interact with since both auras and instants and sorceries are great at protecting your creatures. The only difference is that Feather usually aims to Voltron people out of the game, one at a time, and Cass is just capable of comboing off and killing everyone. Since Cass is so budget-friendly as well, I've decided to brew 2 lists for you all. One is with a restriction of no cards over $10. The second is a more optimized version with no budget requirements. There still is not fast mana in the optimized version because I personally don't play those cards in casual, but if you included those, I truly think Cass could compete at fringe CDH tables. Even without the fast mana, the optimized list can win turn 4 or 5 very consistently, and the budget list can still put up wins that fast, but does so less consistently. So these lists are very, very powerful. Easy 8s. I hate the number scale, but for those of you that do use it, these are easy 8s. Don't sit down at a table of 7s, you're going to dumpster them. So let's go through these lists and break down the different categories required to make the list function. We of course have our token makers. We have 5 auras that make tokens, and 2 creatures that make tokens on Aura ETB. The creatures only show up in the budget deck. In the optimized deck, we just have more tutors, so the inefficient creatures aren't worth it. Note, for the auras that make a token when they leave the battlefield, we will need 1 additional creature on the battlefield. So we'll need Cass and 2 other creatures for us to start the loop. The reason for this is that Cass's ability needs a target once it is put onto the stack. So the tokens we create from the auras leaving won't exist by the time we need to pick targets for Cass's ability. So we need to have just any 1 other creature on board besides the one we loaded up with auras, and then we can go ahead and start our loop. We have our sack outlets. Mask of Immolation and Mortarpod are basically our second and third copies of Goblin Bombardment, since Cass can reattach equipment as well as bring back auras. Betrothed to Fire is also extremely good in this list, since it itself is an aura, which means it can be tutored out by all our aura tutors, and will trigger all our aura synergies. Speaking of tutors, we got these. We have a slew of protection pieces to make sure nobody is messing with our stuff and we can safely execute our combo. We also have an additional combo line using these 2 protection pieces and any of these creatures that either cost 0 or refund their cost when they die. These creatures just also make up our sack fodder as excellent candidates for creatures to load up with our auras to be sacked for value or to start our combo. We have a whole bunch of card draw to make sure we can find our combo pieces and protection. Most of it is just auras that draw a card on ETB, since we can easily reuse these over and over and over. Stuff like SRAM is also great, just drawing us a card whenever we cast one of our auras. For our interaction, we have as many auras as possible, so that we can trigger our SRAM and stuff like that. If you want to keep this deck extra budget and not shell out for the snow-covered basics, just replace On Thin Ice with a Path to Exile or something. Galvanic Arc is notable as being repeatable removal, while also acting as a win con in our combo line if we have to execute without one of our 3 Goblin Bombardments. Frenzied Fugue is probably the coolest card in this entire list. Cast doesn't say we have to return our auras onto our target creature. We can choose any creature. With Frenzied Fugue and a sack outlet, we can wipe away all our opponent's creatures by stealing them, sacking them, returning Fugue onto another of our opponent's creatures, and repeating. If we have a Skull Clamp or any of our draw auras available, we can draw tons of cards in the process while doing this. Yeah, if that isn't awesome, I don't know what is. Finally, we got our ramp, which we don't run too much of since our deck is really low to the ground, and we would rather spend our time drawing cards and setting up our combo. Well, Planeswalkers, I hope I was able to shed some light on this seriously overlooked and ridiculously busted commander. If you have a high-powered playgroup and you are looking for a deck that can compete on a budget, Cass is an amazing option. Thank you to my fellow creator, Deck for Decks, for helping me flesh out these lists. He makes amazing content and has been super supportive of me starting this channel. He brews really cool decks with a specialty on power matters, so if you like smashing with big boys, I recommend you guys check out his stuff. Caleb, thanks for all the help you've given me in starting this channel. I couldn't have done it without you. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Remember to like and subscribe to my OnlyLands for the spiciest deck content on the internet. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you next time.
Walking down the street, everybody